characters.
We're here.
Katrina's location. So, why don't we? And are you guys there yet?
We're here.
Oh.
We thought we were queued up and ready, and we weren't. Good morning.
Well, we were gonna let Sarah do this.
She can do it. My money is on Sarah. She can definitely do it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
So I guess thank you for being on time when we were not logged into the Comrex and on time. Before you jump in, Sarah, I just want to report our numbers this week, if that's cool. And then I want you to chime in on the next little segue. And I know you got a lot of stuff to talk about with changes to some of the housing programs. Our new listings coming in this week at 750. Solds are at 843. Pendings are coming in at 943.
Oh, pendings are down.
A smidge.
A
Here.
smidge. I like smidges.
Oh, we didn't plug in data from the weeks before.
I
It's right
love
here.
smidges.
Yeah. So part of the reason why I wanted to mention that is, remember we talked about this on the show. Last year we saw a little bit of a lull. Remember I was talking about that towards the end of the year, like late fourth quarter. And then little bit of a pickup first quarter. And then second quarter, it's like, we're on fire. So some of the data from the Mortgage Banker Association for the week ending in March 31st, so first quarter, showed that applications were down 4.1% compared to a year ago. And that's probably accurate, but it's changing drastically. So what are you seeing, Sarah? It's sort of the same as I said in the real estate world, right? A little bit of a lull last quarter, on fire Q1?
Definitely in the last quarter, but as of recently, our applications are definitely stronger.
Yeah, I think second quarter is coming in with a bang, don't you?
I do, yes. Yeah, we're taking a lot more applications than we were beginning of the year, so that's good news.
Well, actually, that's bad news for the economy as a whole.
Oh, do tell more.
I mean, if the Fed continues this old, outdated methodology of raising interest rates to curb inflation, and you're telling me that this isn't curbing spending, then we're not curbing inflation.
They don't have any other control other than to stop giving out free money. That probably would have avoided all of it.
I mean, all the Feds did by raising inflation was put some banks out of business.
Well, there's that. Well, I've got a lot of data here for our area, specifically around permitting with the city of Tampa. So we're going to talk about that coming up in like the third segment. But Sarah's seen some drastic changes, and there's some stuff going on that tells me it's going to continue to fuel through the summer. That's happening in July. So jump in, Sarah, and chime in on that.
And that's a lot of the reason, or a big part of the reason that our applications have increased. So I don't know if everyone's familiar, but last June, Florida passed a down payment assistance product called Hometown Heroes.
I love that program.
And Hometown Heroes is a pretty fabulous program, and it was designed to give up to 5%, up to $25,000 based upon the loan amount, in assistance for a home purchase. Its rates are set daily by Florida House, and they're typically lower than retail interest rates.
Significantly, right?
Yes. The program's available in the entire state. It's not geography specific. However, it was occupation specific, and it also included pretty liberal income caps. For example, in Hillsborough County with Hometown Heroes, you can earn up to $123,150, and they only look at the income of the borrower. They don't look at the household income. So it was a pretty flexible program with respect to occupations, a lot of frontline workers, but it included lots of occupations like veterinarians and child care workers and dental hygienists and things like that. There are some new changes coming around the bend, effective July 1st. And what they're doing is they are lifting the occupation requirements. So basically any first-time home buyer, which is someone that has not owned a home in the last 3 years, is going to qualify in whatever occupation they're in. They just need to be a full-time employee working at least 35 hours per week.
So basically a hero is just someone who can hold a job?
No.
I can respect that.
No, hold on. Let me just chime in on this. So to be fair, part of the reason why our state and our amazing governor we have did what what he did in terms of fueling part of this money we talked about on other shows was to keep our homeownership and our housing market strong, right? And so there was a lot of investors coming into our area, and the problem was police officers, teachers. This is where the whole thing started, which were our hometown heroes could not compete. They couldn't compete with the cash offers from the 2 years before, but they also couldn't compete. So by having slightly better rates on these programs, actually, I wouldn't even go so far to say slightly better. They could be significantly better.
I love these programs. Anytime,
I'll let Sarah chime on that.
Anytime you get first-time homebuyer assistance, anytime you get special treatment to our first responders or our veterinarians, I mean, any of these people, it's just awesome that they have these abilities to fight these hedge funds to get these properties.
They do, and that is part of our outline for today. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But Sarah, the rates, can you go over just roughly what the rates are, maybe if you priced one recently, how different that this program we're speaking of was from mainstream conventional products?
Sure. So, the real plus, where it's a significant difference in rate, is for someone with an average credit score, maybe going into an FHA or a VA loan, or even a conventional loan. Conventional pricing on scores that are lower, say 640, 660, in a regular retail market, would be very expensive in terms of the cost points that you would pay for the rate. The rate would be higher, things like that. Hometown Heroes interest rates dipped at one point this week to 6%. Right now, they're not out yet for today, but yesterday's pricing was 6.25%. So they're pretty low. And for someone going FHA, for example, with a 640 or 660 credit score, that's going to be a big difference in terms of the interest rate that they would get in the retail market. Same with conventional. Depending on their income, the rates are varying between 6.3 and 6.5. Fantastic for lower credit scores in terms of what they would pay in a retail environment.
It's closing costs too, so it's not just the rate. There's costs associated with the loan that are a factor as well.
So I'll give you an example. I mean, it's ideal for a VA buyer because a VA buyer is going zero down, and they can use all of their assistance, which again is 5% of the loan amount, up to $25,000, to cover their closing costs. And obviously, they're typically not going to need that much toward closing costs, so they can cover all their closing costs and use their remainder assistance as down payment.
So,
even though one's not required, they can use it to lower their loan amount.
Where does this money come from?
This is through the state of Florida, through Florida Housing Finance Corporation, and they're allocating an additional $100 million in funds to renew this program July 1st, and that's just based on Florida's fiscal year.
A lot of this, it comes from money that's already in the budget and the Sadowski Fund. We talked about that before.
That's like your favorite fund.
It is. So a lot of that, and then they don't use it for the right purpose that it's intended for, and many times these politicians swoop it, and it's irritating anytime they do that, right? It's no different than fundraising. I mean, I remember being on the PTA years ago, and the prior PTAs had fundraised and done all this stuff for playground equipment in a shady area for lunch, if you're having lunch with your kids. And then new administration, new principals and that sort of stuff came in and wanted to use the money for something else. And we as a PTA said, no, you're not going to do that. And so it's very similar here when you think about it. Right?
No, I would agree with that. I mean, politicians can come in. I mean, one of the things, there's a couple of charity organizations that exist to give money to charity organizations, and they keep 85% of the money you donate for administrative fees, and then 15% gets to the charity, and then that charity uses 85% for administrative fees. So basically, for every dollar you donate, 5 cents goes to where you want it to.
Well, yes, there is a lot, but there's some charities that do more, right? And so a lot you have to pay people to run the charities, but there's someone that started it, right, for free. So anyway, our off-air number,
813-377-2775. If you want to learn more about Hometown Heroes, text the word HEROES to 813-377-2775. We'll get you hooked up with Sarah so she can tell you more about the program and to help you find the right loan for your purchase.
Yeah, stick around. We have more changes coming too. Stick around.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection. Just saying that if you want to be a local hero, you can be a first-time home buyer, you can get in on this real estate market, you can push out the hedge funds. We got all this great assistance coming into play at the top of the half year, which is July 1.
Here's the thing. Anybody can buy a home. You just have to want to. And you have to be flexible.
Well, you have to be willing to compromise.
Yeah.
It's all about compromise.
It's about compromise and it's about determination. So if you want to buy a home, get your foot in, right? Like it's always been expensive to buy a home. You don't just wake up and say, that's a good idea, I'll just pick one of those up. I mean, you're not going to the grocery store. So it's a plan. You have to plan for it. You've got to save money. It's a process.
Yeah. You got to practice the Money Talk 1010 features. You got to practice the Tampa Home Talk 1010 features. And to learn more about how you can better save money, just go ahead and text the word money to 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. So, Sarah, you still with us?
Still with you.
So if I wanted to be a hometown hero and I wanted to cash in on this first-time home buyer's assistance, do I start with a real estate agent? Do I start with getting pre-qualified through you? Do I need to petition a local...
Start with us.
Okay.
You start with getting pre-qualified through a lender, and by the way, this program does have an approved lender list. The mortgage firm is obviously on that list, and we write a lot of Hometown Heroes loans. So we're basically going to take a normal application and ask all of the pertinent questions with respect to income, collect income documentation, get all of that dialed in terms of numbers and ratio in order to create a budget. We'll simulate this assistance on the loan file and figure out the best way to use the funds so that you're getting the most bang for your buck, and we're utilizing every dime. And then at that point you connect with a realtor, with Katrina's team, and start searching for a property.
And the truth is, people don't do it in that order.
Of course not. They usually find the home first.
They start searching for the property.
They call me from the home that they're standing in, that they want to buy.
And we're like, okay, hold on. But that's where we differ, because we're going to talk about the plan, the process, what loan product might be best, right? And then point them to Sarah.
A couple things I want to add, though, because there are a couple things I want to add on Hometown Heroes, and then a couple changes to the regular Florida Bond program also coming around July 1st. Hometown Heroes is also going to be revising its income limits. That was supposed to be rolled out mid-May. So obviously we're in mid-May, and so we're looking for the revised income limits to come out any minute. We'll be paying attention to that. It's going to be a minimum floor on this 5% of $10,000 in assistance. So that would be 5% on a $200,000 loan.
Nice.
Okay, that's the floor or the minimum amount.
Wait, does that mean that you need to have a home of at least $200,000 to hit the floor? Or is that saying that if I have a $150,000 home, I'm still getting the $10,000?
You're not getting Hometown Heroes if you're under $10,000 or $10,000 in assistance, $200,000 in the loan amount. However, that's the reason I brought up the other bond program, because there's another bond program that gives a flat $10,000, not a 5% calculation. And so folks say, well, Hometown Heroes is so great and it's not occupation specific. Why do we even have the other bond program? And it's just kind of designed for that. So we're watching for Hometown Heroes to revise their income limits, and that should be coming out anytime. It is okay for folks, depending on how long of a contract you can write, Katrina, it's okay for folks to be shopping. Their loan can be fully approved and underwritten, and we just can't reserve the funds if they're not in an occupation that qualifies right now until after July 1st. So we can start working with folks now in the upcoming weeks who are trying to purchase, as long as they're closing after July 1st.
So that leads me to an interesting question. You just said I can be completely through the loan process, just needing a home to plug in. That sounds much different than pre-qualification, where I just have a one-page letter saying I can probably get money for something.
That's the way you want to do it, too.
We do those all the time. I mean, we do to-be-determined underwrite so that we can help our buyers compete more aggressively on an offer. So we take folks, collect all of their income documentation, verify all of their income, their assets, etc., and fully document their loan underwrite entirely the file. And so that way we're only subject to things like an acceptable appraisal, inspection, title work, homeowners insurance, and it gives them an edge when they compete because they're not getting a pre-approval letter, they're getting a loan commitment at that point. So that will help the realtor negotiate the deal because we're already through that part of the process, and we can expedite the closing. Many times we do those pre-approved buyers in a 2-week turn time to close. So it just gives the customer the edge, and we can do that in the Hometown Heroes product as well. But it's going to be a minimum of $10,000 in this product. They're increasing the assistance amount from $25,000 to $35,000, but remember, it's still based upon 5% of the loan amount. So that $35,000 is only going to come into play if the loan amount's higher than $500,000.
Well, Sarah, let's talk about this too, because they revamped that from when they first started. So remember they were trying to give away an extra amount, and I'm like, why are they doing this? Give up to the minimum amount you need, help more people, spread those dollars. So they finally changed it. Someone with a brain decided that was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and this program's receiving $100 million in new funding effective July 1st. We're definitely, like I said, looking for the income limits. We're going to be rolling out some training on that, including Realtor Lunch and Learn. So I'm looking for that to happen sometime mid-June. But we can actually start working with folks right now and getting everything under control. So that way, when they're ready to pull the trigger, we're 90% of the way there on our end.
That is the way you want to do it. I'm telling you, it's a big difference when you have a client completely pre-approved, meaning they've already submitted tax returns, bank statements, pay stubs.
Like cash.
Everything is done. All you need is a property and an appraisal. That's it.
It's just like they're using cash. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they have to have a satisfactory appraiser and a cash buyer doesn't care, that would be the only difference. But we certainly can expedite the closing at that point.
And we're seeing a lot of appraisal waivers still, right, Sarah? If they're putting 20% down, you're getting quite a few, aren't you?
We are, yeah. It's primary residence, higher credit scores, 20% down payments, and that's when you start becoming eligible for that. You know, the automated underwriting systems don't just approve the credit. They do have an algorithm that looks at the collateral, and if they agree with the contract price of the home, if they agree with that value, and it's not an overinflated contract or something like that, it'll give us a waiver. If it doesn't agree with it, it's going to force us to get an appraisal, and that's something that we run through the system, and it tells us what we can do and what we can't. But we are seeing those. And then also, there's a change coming around the bend in the regular bond program. This has always been around in Florida, and that's a flat $10,000 in assistance. Some of those products require a small repayment. Most clients don't want the repayment, 0%, silent second, if you will, just like Hometown Heroes. And it will give the flat $10,000. So back to your question earlier, Leo, if it's $150,000 purchase price, if Hometown Heroes would go that low, and they won't, that would be $7,500. In the regular bond program, they get the flat $10,000 on those lower price points.
Nice.
One thing about that program is that it has a 1% origination charge as a part of the closing cost. So imagine if it's a $150,000 loan, you're dealing with a $1,500 origination fee. So they're giving you $10,000, but they charge you that in closing costs. Effective July 1st, the origination charge goes away. So that's fabulous. And in both the regular bond program and the Hometown Heroes program, the buyer is exempt from paying what's called intangible tax, so sales tax, so to speak, on the amount of their mortgage when they purchase a home. So in the state of Florida, intangible tax is calculated in the county based on a factor of 0.2, and for the state, that tax is 0.35, so it's a total 0.55. So again, as an example, on a $200,000 loan amount, that intangible tax would be $1,100. So they're exempt from that tax in both programs, both regular bond, which is Florida Assist, as well as Hometown Heroes. So lots of really cool features, and we're taking a lot of applications. Our applications are up, but a lot of it has to do with these products. So, we're excited about that. And, folks can get in with assistance. They can get in with lower interest rates. They can save the sales tax. It's just overall a good deal.
Sarah, out of a lot of the loans and the applications that you guys are doing, what percentage would you say roughly are these type of products or first-time home buyer or something like that? 50? 50%. Significant amount. That is significant for sure. All right. Well, this is Tampa Home Talk. If you want information about these programs and more, this is where the value of someone like myself, Sarah, we're going to be able to point you in the right direction and analyze what is best. So 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number, 813-377-2775. And you can call or text that number, 813-377-2775. This is Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, bringing you a tip of the week.
You got a good one this week?
I have a great one this week. So we have the Bermuda High is nestling over the eastern Atlantic or western Atlantic.
We're going to do a weather tip, huh?
We're going to do a roof tip.
Okay.
So when that Bermuda High starts to move, that's the start of the rainy season. Now, if you're like me, you haven't been up on your roof since October to get all those leaves off your roof. Now, if all those leaves are sitting on your roof, it's basically a bed of mulch sitting on top of your shingle or metal roof. You're going to get pitting. You're going to get, maybe you'll even have termites growing in that because termites want to eat all that organic fiber. So we recommend highly either this weekend or next weekend, you go up on your roof and you get all that debris off your roof. You want to remove all those piles of leaves.
Wait, did you just say debris?
Yeah, debris. You want to remove all the debris from the top of your roof.
Or debris.
The reason being is when the rain comes, you don't want the rain turning those leaves into mulch, which will eat through your roofs in less than one rainy season.
So even metal?
Yeah, metal starts rusting and pitting. I mean, what happens when you take metal and you just dunk it in water?
Yeah.
It rusts.
It does.
Doesn't matter how good your Kynar coating is. So basically, your tip of the week is either this weekend or next weekend. You want to get safely up onto your roof structure, and you want to make sure you get all those leaves off. Now, the good method to getting the leaves off is your hands. The bad method of getting leaves off is a leaf blower. Because a leaf blower is basically a hurricane in the palm of your hand.
Oh, for shingles, yeah.
Yes, for shingles.
But if it's metal, you're okay, right, with a blower?
On the lowest.
Theoretically?
You want to use your hands.
Okay.
So you want to use your hands to get down and dirty on your roof, get all those leaves off your roof, so when the rainy season comes, you won't have to destroy your roof, because I've seen it firsthand. You could lose 5 to 6 years of useful life of your roof by just having a big pile of leaves in one place.
Yeah, and it was funny. I was talking to Wes Edwards with Sharp Roofing. Remember him yesterday? He's going to come back, talk a little bit about roofing. We've seen so much. Like, we literally had a contract cancel this week because they put on a roof without a permit, a tile roof without a permit. It's going to cost $20,000 to replace.
You can replace a tile roof for $20,000? That's a good deal.
Well, they gave us a good deal. It was a smaller place.
Okay.
Yeah. They gave us a good deal. I think so.
Yeah, and some of the difficult times, we're getting some people that have done their own roofing without a permit, and they're coming to us for an after-the-fact permit. And we'll always ask them, what year did you put the roof on? And if they say anything earlier than 2021, we just can't help them because it doesn't meet. With an after-the-fact permit, you have to meet today's building code. And any roof installed before 2021 doesn't meet today's building code.
I mean, it's just a bad idea. You need a permit to pretty much do everything.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sell your home, if you want to brag about selling your home, and like, I understand certain permits. If I'm doing an interior remodel of my kitchen and no one from the outside is going to be able to tell that, and I know City of X might take 60 days to approve the permit, I can see why you wouldn't want to pull a permit even though you're supposed to. But for something like a roof, where it's on 4 or 5 reports, it impacts your insurance price, and those are called over-the-counter permits that get issued within 30 minutes, unless you live in a historic district. Just get the permit pulled. I mean, roof permits are pulled like...
Yeah, I don't understand why people wouldn't. And in this day and age of insurance, it's just a bad idea.
Well, I do know 2 reasons why you wouldn't pull a permit. 1, you're not using a licensed roofer to do your work. And 2, you're a homeowner doing it themselves. In either one of those scenarios, you're probably not doing it correct. Because I know
Probably not. But can you pull an owner?
Yeah, you can pull an
builder
owner
permits for roofing?
roof. Yeah, that was one of the scams back when we had Hurricane Irma that the governor needed to shut down. Was unlicensed roofing companies, unlicensed in the state of Florida, were getting homeowners to pull permits, and then they were either collecting the deposit and disappearing, or doing some of the work and disappearing, or doing the work wrong and not passing permits, and then the homeowner had no recourse to go against the roofer because they pulled their own permit.
Like they were doing their own work.
Yes.
Which they can do if they actually know how to do.
Right.
Correctly.
But the state doesn't, the local building departments don't make you prove you know how to do work to your own house.
Well, thank goodness.
I know, it's a level of control they don't want. However, it ends up hurting homeowners when they pull permits on behalf of contractors who aren't contractors and then get scammed. There's no recourse at that point.
Well, that's a good tip for sure, especially as we head into summertime with the roofing. We've seen so much of that lately, like so much of it. But the interesting thing I want to just kind of circle back around to, and the April numbers were released yesterday. So we're going to talk about that and look at it side by side with March. But the median time to contract, we're seeing still multiple offers come up. But what we're seeing is buyers are a lot more squirrely than they were a year ago or 6 months ago.
They listen to financial news. They think they have a lot more options out there. They think they have all this time and all this leverage, so they're getting pickier. Home inspectors, home inspection companies like ours are getting busier because reports mean something other than what am I buying?
Yes, that's what I was going to say is the condition matters more than anything right now. We're definitely seeing that. And they're savvy. They're doing their homework, and they should be. They should have been doing this all along. But buyers are very savvy right now in this market is what we're seeing. They're doing their homework. They're making sure they know what they're buying.
Well, I mean, you got to think of it. Sarah, earlier in the first couple of segments, she mentioned sometimes the home buying process starts all squirrely, and the first time she gets involved for pre-approvals when they're standing in the living room.
She's not lying.
I would argue the home buying process started weeks before they even stepped foot in the house. It started over dinner. After dinner, they're pulling up one of the opening sites. They're looking at the websites we don't mention on this show. They're looking at all those websites. They're looking at listings.
Well, it's accurate. I mean, that's where people start.
They're starting there. Before they even call their first real estate agent, before they even contact a lender, they're starting there.
And something happens, right? The house is too small. There's something that's going on in their life that's prompting that change.
Yeah.
So construction.
Their marriage is falling apart.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of that stuff happens. Those are all life changes that prompt people to move, for sure. So when we look at I want to talk about construction for a minute because construction has been crazy for the last few years. Last year it was pretty volatile, right? With the supply chain issues and then just it getting more expensive. I mean, we saw getting more expensive. We saw roof trusses, triple, quadruple.
In price temporarily. Mm-hmm. And you also have to think it's not only a supply chain issue. The bigger elephant in the room is the labor shortage because less people want to do physical labor. We will watch these TV shows where everyone's walking around an office 12 hours a day, sipping a cup of coffee, not doing anything. That's what people are being brainwashed into the job to look for. Meanwhile, your tech sectors are laying off in record numbers.
They are.
And what we desperately need is people out there swinging a hammer.
Yeah, people are going to have to get back to some of the trade type jobs for sure, at least as a backup plan for now, before it changes. It's going to happen.
I mean, colleges did a great job selling people on the idea they need a degree to have a career. They did it. It's inundated. What do? You graduate high school, you go to college. You could graduate high school, become a tradesperson. I know a lot of tradespeople making six figures.
Yeah, they make more than people with a 4-year degree, master's.
And let's just say this: let's say you're a tradesperson, you're making $60,000 to $80,000 a year, 1 year out of high school, versus I'm collecting 4 years of student loan debt. And where does that put you on the money curve for saving towards retirement? I mean, you already have a 4-year head start on someone that's been brainwashed into thinking they actually need a degree.
I think we'll see a shift in some of that stuff in coming years ahead because people just flat out can't afford it. That's part of it. But
and I'm not saying that all degrees are useless, but there are a lot of degrees that you can obtain in 4 years that don't land you a job,
right.
Don't land you a profession, don't even land you in industry.
Well, you probably have to have some clear direction, right? I would say you want to begin with the end in mind. Like with anything, if you're starting college, begin with the end in mind. Have an idea what you want to do.
You're a 17 or 18-year-old child that for the first time in your life has freedom. You are in no position to make that kind of life choice.
Take business, finance, things you'll always be able to use.
True. And you're also in no position to be told what that choice should be. So if your parents are saying, hey, you need to be a doctor, or
that never works.
I know some countries have a system where the first year after they graduate high school, they just go touring or they experience life. That's great. They need to figure things out.
Definitely. So going back to construction being volatile last year, pulled some information for like the city of Tampa permits, and in May of 2022, it was really at a peak. They had 1603 permits filed, and that went all the way down to 882 in December of last year. And that's single family permits that were approved. So in the last 3 months, it's been 2808. Last year, it was 3949. For that same time. So it's down about 29% for last year at single family homes. Now, multifamily, whole different story there in 2022 compared to today. So last year there was 326 in January. In November, that spiked all the way to 1466 just in 1 month. In the last 3 months, the city of Tampa has had over 4,046 multifamily housing permits pulled and approved. And the year before, it was only at 977.
Is this for new? Is this renovation? What kind of permits are these?
So if it's single family or multifamily.
But are they construction permits or are they renovation permits?
This is anything that has been approved. So if it's multifamily renovation, it's going to show up in these approved data.
Would my roof permits show up in this?
No.
Okay.
No, this is just if you're building or modifying.
Building or modifying.
Mm-hmm. So also, Leo, one of the things I wanted to know is, because this is 314% increase over last year, how much are you seeing in terms of multifamily drawings go up? Whether that's an in-law suite or a straight up duplex, triplex, quad. Well, are you seeing that? Are you doing a lot of plans for multifamily?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a spike in the multifamily arena, which is a lot different than the single family. Because like a single family home, we can do every component of the design. When it comes to multifamily, we actually have to subcontract an MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, subconsultant to do that level of work because they want load calculations, they want riser diagrams, they want all this extra stuff you don't need on single family. So it does drive the costs up. It does take longer to make the drawings because now you have to coordinate a lot more information. Plus, once you get into multifamily, you now have to take into account something called UL ratings or code, which is the fire resistance. So you have to design for structural fire, which is, do I have a 1 hour wall? Do I have a 2 hour wall? Things of that nature. And those ratings mean that theoretically, if the room were to catch on fire, it would take an hour for the fire to eat through the wall to the next room.
Right, which is a concern, right, on multifamily, because if one kitchen starts a fire, it can spread to the other side of the house. So rental vacancies are also down a little compared to last year. So Tampa had a vacancy rate of 7.5%, or we do nationwide at 5.8%. So I think that has to do with the rising cost. And people are building to rent. We're seeing that. And some entire communities are being built to rent. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, like the one city in Asheville, one part of Asheville where that whole quadrant was Airbnb'd, and I told you about how it had like a dorm room style layout. It was not meant for families. It was meant for rental. Right.
And we'll talk about this. I'm going to recap on something I mentioned before that's expected to change by 2030. Our off-air number is 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. Back in a minute. We'll have some new listings too.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Project Engineering. I have the most exciting segment to introduce. It's always the fourth segment. There is the Beryl Project Engineering Listings of the Week, along with the Keller Williams Open Houses.
Before you jump into that, I just told you that people were building. We just talked about how multifamily is way, way up, 314%. And I mentioned this before. many places are saying that it's expected by 2030 institutional investors are going to own 40% of the real estate.
That's a mission
in the
statement.
country. I'm telling you.
So by 2030, it is expected that institutional investors may hold some 7.6 million homes, or more than 40% of the single-family rentals on the market. That sounds okay, but the forecast was given by the MetLife Investment Management Fund.
But they're the ones buying real estate in the portfolios.
It's a mission statement.
They're not the only ones. There's
I know,
others.
but their mission statement is to buy 40% of all the single-family homes.
Look at even BlackRock. You can pull it up. I was looking at some of their sheets that they print to investors when they give their numbers, and a lot of their stuff is even maturing by 2030, and they're going to continue to roll it into real estate.
Well, like I said before, I don't doubt that there's a big push, but this by 2030 is this is a SMART goal. This is a mission statement, and we just read MetLife's Investment Management's mission statement on the air.
Even if that is their mission statement, if you're a home buyer in this market, you're competing with companies that have that mission statement.
That's true.
That's the point.
That's the point.
All right, let's go to listings. I would love to have a couple minutes to talk about this. I'll let you look at this data.
Let's do the Beryl Project Engineering listing of the week.
We're going to let Maddie do the listings for Beryl this week.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Can you please give the Beryl Project Engineering listings of the week?
He just wants to sponsor them, although he won't be there with any food or cookies or drinks.
Keller Williams open house for the Beryl Project Engineering listing of the week.
He just likes to sponsor it and talk about it.
Right. Well, we have two, so you can talk about one if you want.
No, by all means. I'm delegating.
So there's one in Holiday that's coming up today. It is at 3212 Gina Court. Beautiful home in a gated community. Open house tomorrow, Saturday, May 20th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So
this is a gated community tucked back by the beach. It's awesome. I love it back there. We sold this home to this client when they bought it a few years ago.
What's the price?
Yes, so it is. We're going to be listing it for $575.
That's good in the gated community up in Holiday.
Oh,
almost $3,000. It's right in the Tarpon Springs border.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Built in 2017, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It's got an updated kitchen with backsplash, updated flooring, in-wall pest system, and new water system.
It's a great property. So
What is
Maddie,
our
you're
share?
holding this one open, right?
Yes.
11 to 2. She'll have this one open.
Oh, so we can actually meet the person who announced it on
That's
the air?
right.
Yes, come by. And then we also have another one in Plant City coming up today. This one is on.
It didn't launch last week, so don't look at me like that, Leo. It didn't. We were a little delayed, so it didn't launch last week. This week it's.
We were getting
launching.
some final touches complete before it hit the market.
Right.
But it's on a little over an acre, which is super nice. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, listed for $250. Built in 2007.
This is what's going to sell it right here. So over an acre.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a
And
Hometown
it's
Hero
huge.
special right there.
Wait, this bathroom count's wrong. We got to get that fixed.
That's what pulled from public records.
Yeah, that's not right.
So this is a Hometown Hero special. You're in Plant City on an acre of land. If I'm a Hometown Hero, I want an acre of land.
Right.
I want to live in Plant City. Plant City might be one of the few rural areas in our great 5-county area left.
I think so too. There's still a bit of farming, which is good. Hopefully it doesn't disappear. But those are the 2 new ones we have. Everything else is literally selling.
That's
quick.
because Beryl Project Engineering's doing a great job announcing listings.
That's the only reason we're selling
That's
it.
the only reason.
So if we have time, we're going to play a TikTok that Maddie sent me. I'm like, this is so spot
So
on.
good. Glenda Baker.
She watches me, and I'm like, yeah, okay. It's pretty accurate. Because that's exactly what I would tell a seller.
It is so funny. I saw it, and it immediately made me think of you. I was like,
Pat, see if you have that. I sent it to you. If there's a way to queue it up. I do want to look at side by side April to March, just because this is what we do, right? We report what direction things are going. The interesting thing looking at this is,
The
for
market's
one, it is shrinking. So the time to contract we reported last month in Florida Realtors in March was 31 days to contract. We're tightening up to 27.
Yeah, we're inventory is shrinking.
1.8 absorption rate in April, coming in at 1.7. And I think that's going to tighten up as we get through summer.
So what that absorption rate is, again, is if every house on the market sold and nothing replaced it, like no new listings, we would run out of inventory in 1.7 months.
Yeah, it's a tight seller's market still, a very tight seller's market.
Yeah, so don't listen to what other outlets are telling you or the scare tactics other people are telling you. Our Tampa housing market is still strong, very strong, and it's getting stronger.
It definitely is. Now, the median price, look at that. In March of 2023, we were at $395, which was still up 1.3% from the year before. But when we look at the median price, it's down from last year, but it's up over last month. So we're back up to $400 on that median price for April.
So we had a little dip, and now we're about to break even on that little dip. I mean, this is exciting times to be in Tampa, unless you're trying to drive from point A to point B. But if you're an investor and you can find a property, turn it into a rental. If you're a first-time home buyer and you want to find something, you've got this extra assistance. If you're a hometown hero and you qualify as one of those professions, again, you got this assistance. We even have a property. I would say that Plant City property at $250. Come to the open house tomorrow. Text 813-377-2775 or just text the word open. 813-377-2775. We'll let you know about both open houses, the one in Holiday in the gated community. We even tell you how to get through the gate. And the one in Plant City.
So, Pat, well, the listings are coming up. Were you able to cue that TikTok? Are you even there? Mr. Pat, George? All right, I'm going to play it on my phone.
We shouldn't do that. It's going to come sound too.
Okay, hold on. So this agent, she's talking about how this person lists their property, there's stuff everywhere, the carpet's ripped up, it just looks terrible, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's talking to the daughter. The daughter is saying, yeah, this is not working, we're not selling it. So she comes in, it was listed with another person, and she said, hey, your agent's done you a disservice because it's not going to sell for the price you want in this condition. Mm-hmm. And so she has this whole conversation with the mom. Apparently the mom's difficult, right? So she tells the agent, all right, how much do you charge? What's your fee? She gave it to her. She says, there's no way I'm paying you that fee. And the other agent only charged this fee. And she said, and that's why your house is listed the way that it is. And then she said, well, you know what? Here's the thing. If Michael Jordan comes in on the court, he's not gonna work for a discounted fee, and neither am I. If you want the best, you're gonna get the best. And wow. I thought that's exactly how it goes normally in my world. People are like, hey, will you discount it? No, because that person's cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm gonna put that money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
So this is Tampa Home Talk. If you want information, your listing's not selling, it's a good time to call or text.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. Become one of the many people who only have their listing on this show listed twice at most, because
we're going to sell it quick, and we're going to put a lot of money in your pocket. Love where you live, or we'll fix it. Welcome home.